Literally.
Well, he's going to be a lot better than you are, I'm going to say.
A lot better.
He's a monster.
But it's going to be exciting. We were going to go into other stuff, but looks like the game's already started. These guys are fast with vetoes. So
How dare they want to actually
ridiculous.
do this?
We want a tangent and not talk about StarCraft. And
I want to tell you about the amazing hairdresser that I met yesterday, but we'll do the
It's
introductions.
right. We still got the beginning of the game, so...
Yeah, nobody cares about the beginning of the game.
All right, let's go.
This is where Petraeus decides to 9-pool or something. Anyway, welcome back to Belshire Vestige. It's been so long since our last encounter here. With Frenetic Array's Petraeus. He is in the blue trunks, and he is playing Zerg to the northwest of Belshire Vestige, representing New Zealand, versus his opponent, representing Korea, to the southeast position from IVD Gaming. It is Apocalypse.
All right, tell me about this hairdresser.
I'll tell you about the hairdresser. So, went out with the family yesterday to go and see Ender's Game, which was slightly disappointing, I gotta say. Having read the book, it was nowhere near as good as the book, but hey. And I decided, since we're at the mall at the time, that I'd go get my hair cut for BlizzCon, because it was a bit of a mess, and as people know, I have very thin hair, but when my hair gets long, it's pretty much a disaster area. Yeah? So I keep it nice and short, I get a number 3 buzz cut all over, and I try and keep it fairly short. So we go in there and start to get a haircut, and the hairdresser asks, where you from, blah, blah. I really like your accent. Whereas every time I ever speak to a hairdresser, the first thing they will say is, I like your accent. Always. Every time. So this is fairly predictable. But she goes on and says, oh, where you from? And then I explained that. And she said, oh, how far away is that? And I said, oh, it's about a 10-hour flight. And she then says, how long to drive? And I assume she's just kind of like, no, theoretically, that's what she means. So like, oh, well, if you could drive over the ocean, it would, probably be a good few days. But then she continues going on about driving to England, and the other hairdressers are starting to notice, and they turn around slowly, and then this one, the louder hairdresser, just shouted at her, what are you talking about? And she's like, what? Like, drive to England? Are you out of your mind? And it's just kind of, you can hear the cogs slowly whirring. Steam is coming out of the ears. She's sort of looking like a deer in the headlights. And she's like, you can't drive there? And then everyone just...
Unreal.
just like, what? It was like meeting a real-life YouTube comment. It's like, these people don't really exist, right? They don't exist. This is just how people act on the internet because they want to troll or just because they're acting like idiots. They're not real. And apparently they are. And now I've just been depressed for the last 2 days as a result of
this. it's that fine American education system.
We have stereotypes when it comes to, blonde Americans in England, and that was the first one that I met that actually lived up to that in every way, I have to say.
So sad. Yeah, we for a country that is so involved around 24 news sites, we lack information incredibly.
Well, you like to police the world, but you don't know where anything is in it. That's the main problem.
Yeah. Potato.
Yes, quite. Tomato. Alright, well, Apocalypse is doing his pretty standard opening here, and almost got a drone out of it, but he didn't. So Petraeus does a nice little save there. We're seeing a second Reaper following up here, so I think we know which build this is going to be.
It's the pulp build.
It is.
We should just call anything that's winning the pulp build, because that's what he does, man. Have you seen, it's like a 90% win rate for all best of 3s and best of 5s in the last couple of months? It's like actually insane.
He almost lost the Reaper. Yeah, you're right. I mean, his win rate has actually been ridiculous. Pult is really, really good. Hart obviously lost to Pult, and frankly, I just said to Hart after that, look, there is no shame in losing to Pult. No, there isn't. Yeah, he eventually went on to win. You saw how well he played. Matt, I gotta say, I was watching those games between Hart and Pult, and it was actually depressing because Hart was ahead every single time and then just lost. Because Pult is the most resilient bastard I've ever seen. He refuses to lose. He wins through force of will. It's incredible.
It didn't make sense, and he almost uses that as an advantage, right? Like, you saw Hart, just like his emotions in those games. Like,
oh, yeah.
He knew he was ahead every single time. That's the problem. And he still was not able to close it out.
Well, this is unusual amount of Ling aggression actually here from Petraeus. He got into the base. What, Apocalypse? What? I don't know what you're doing there, but Ling's got into the base there, and we'll see how much damage that did. It didn't look like a huge amount, but that shouldn't have happened, and the natural gets gutted as well. And this is an interesting style because I think Petraeus figured out, oh, he's going to go for that pulp push. So what about if I push before he's able to make the pulp push? And he kills 6 workers, delays a ton of mining. Maybe not quite enough, but I don't know. It's 39 drones to 21, so maybe it was.
Yeah, you can't...
That slows that down a lot.
You can't hate that at all. Now, the interesting part is, how does Petraeus actually deal with this upcoming attack? I feel like the best way to deal with it is to go queens instead of a lot of zerglings, because if you go a lot of zerglings, think of how much larva you have to go. You already spent so much larva on getting those zerglings to begin with. Then you have to spend like double that just to defend against the upcoming Hellions that might not even come. So just get the queens down. Of course, he's going for the Banshee, so you have to defend against that. It's just all around a lot better, and use zerglings as kind of that supplement, right? Just to make sure your queens don't die you know, independently.
It's fantastic that you're mentioning that, actually, because so few people ever do. The idea that lava is actually a resource that we should probably mention from time to time. People say, oh, you know, you can just build as many links as you want. You can't, because especially at this stage of the game, you're limited by your lava. You don't necessarily have enough to make that happen. As it stands, you know, Petraeus right then had none whatsoever. Attempted Ling run by doesn't really do much, and yeah, what I would expect, I would at least hope to see more queens. We saw an extra queen come out, and he's kind of just, he seems to just be relying on the Lings that he's currently got and the queens to do it, but Apocalypse doesn't really seem willing to commit at this stage.
Well, again, we have a lot of Hellions coming out. You were mentioning it last time around. He made 10 Hellions at one point. Now he's making
11 now, and 2 Banshees, so he's gonna push.
Yeah. And Turtle Biscuit, I'm worried. I think this is game-ending damage. Right now, there's only 4 queens out on the map, 16 Zerglings, no Roach Warren, no further queens that are going to be added here. Yes, he has Spore Crawlers, but the Spore Crawler count, I mean, you can always just dance around those spores. I don't know how he's going to deal with these Hellions. He needs he needs life micro if he wants to do this.
He needs the most lucky Baneling connections ever, and the Banelings might not even finish. I'm not really sure how he read this, but he clearly didn't read it right. A massive transition into a huge Hellion push, far, far larger than normal, and a couple of Banshees in the process as well, and both of them are still alive. Spore Crawler actually does massive damage there, which is really nice, but Apocalypse is going to be able to hurt this drone line a lot, I feel. The Banelings shouldn't connect. If the focus fire is good, they should not connect. These Hellions are gutting this line completely.
Yep. A lot of drones going down. Now finally the Banshees will get double tapped right here by the single queen.
Nice.
So that helps out, but the Hellions, how does he deal with them? That's the big problem. His queens are pretty much dead, incinerated in this game. And as we can see, Units tab shows just further Zerglings, 1 queen out in the field. That's going to significantly affect his larva. I don't even know if he'll be able to keep up with his economy at this point. But income tab shows 46 to 53, so you can even see the third base is already situated over here for Apocalypse. I feel like Apocalypse went away from that really, really nicely.
Yeah. He didn't lose much at all, really. He lost like a Hellion and a couple of Banshees, and he did enough damage to justify that. Maybe not as much as you might think. He could have potentially just gutted that mineral line entirely, but it wasn't fully saturated anyway. So if you overcommit into a narrow choke like that, and Lings get that surround and the Banelings connect, then suddenly you're in a position where you lose all sense of map control. Petraeus has a massive number of Lings looking to... He was so lucky not to get a massive shot off there. He was playing with fire, quite literally.
Yes, he was. And I love this style that Apocalypse is doing. If we think about the previous best of threes, we saw Petraeus stay on Zerglings so long. Oh, the Zerglings will be able to get a good surround, but it looks like they just incinerated him way too fast. Hellions.
There's too many Hellions. Even that surround, that was going to be difficult. He now moves into a choke, which is quite nice. Petraeus actually morphs a hatchery right there because he realizes, yeah, you know what, the Hellions aren't going to kill that. Why not? Might as well do that. I feel Petraeus could have executed that a little better. He actually had a surround and then kind of whiffed it and went for a second surround, which wasn't quite as good. I feel he could have maybe destroyed those Hellions, but regardless, that's a lot. That's a lot of Lings that he just had to spend there.
Turtle Biscuit, look at this adaptation of Apocalypse, though. He's staying on Hellions a lot longer in this game. He's maintaining them, knowing that it was Zergling Banelings that flooded the field last time they met up here. And he's just saying, well, I can be really cost efficient with my Hellions, go into macro mode with you, and just overwhelm you as I start to macro up. Because remember, the game he did win, it was a pure macro game. So I feel like this is so far a great adaptation to Petraeus' style on this map. And I feel like Apocalypse is just so far ahead. The late mutas are not going to be able to deal with just the massive army that's out on the field. As you can see, Apocalypse has the advantage in production and in supply, I mean.
It does. Drop comes down, and a good position there for Apocalypse, but it will get cleaned up. So that's not really too big a concern here for Petraeus. Petraeus is certainly not out of this game. He's in a good spot. You know, his fourth base is now established and, for the most part, pretty safe. But I suppose we have to see what Apocalypse is going to actually do from here. He's going to add the Thor into his composition. We've seen he likes to do that. A lot of players have just started to shy away from that entirely because they just play Biomine against a Ling Mutabane style, but we see the addition of a Thor into the composition almost every time here for Apocalypse, who suddenly shuts down that little bit of Muta aggression across the field, and the mine count's starting to get scary. Still all to play for in this game.
I like the Thor incorporation. A lot of times, like, mutas are just darting in, picking off a Midovac, picking off like a Widow Mine, but the single Thor, even if it's just one, it says, mutas, do not do that. I'm stopping you from any harass that's possible. We'll find out. Apocalypse needs to be so careful. Remember, the last time he lost was because his Widow Mines were not in place in time, and they're all bunched up.
He's going for earlier drilling claws this time. I think he realized his mistake there, and he wants to pressure this fourth base. Can he get the Widow Mines into good position? He's got a bunch around the back here. Petraeus could lose some Banelings here, but we have seen that Petraeus is pretty careful with those Banes most of the time, and he throws that back as well, and Lings just crash into that army, and Apocalypse is caught completely by surprise.
Hot pickup will maintain a lot of these Marines, actually all of them. Really nicely done. Again, round 2 now, and there's a lot of units here off creep. You need to be so careful.
There's a Thor there. He wants to watch out for that, especially with the Widow Mines. And drilling claws is about to be done as well.
Oh no! Oh god!
He's gonna get away with this, but yeah. That was horrible. Oh man, he could end up hitting a bunch more as well. There's still 4 more Widow Mines there. Where's his Overseer? He doesn't have one. He's morphing in 2 right now.
Yep. This is not good because further Widow Mines are going to be set up here. This is scary. Fourth base going to be evacuated immediately.
Yeah, it's dead.
Oh gosh. Again, some really great stuff coming out of both these players, but Apocalypse, his adaptation, he's able to keep up with Petraeus this game, whereas Belshir Vestige was really where Petraeus was able to shine.
He's kind of jumping on that base, but unfortunately there are Marines, and they are 2-2 versus 1-0 mutas, so Petraeus is not trading all that well here, and is able to do some economic damage, but it's nowhere near enough, having lost his fourth base. That's a pretty awkward spot for him.
16 mutas out in the field, 4 more in production, 3-3 on the way. Everything is going well for our Terran player as he looks to take his fourth now in the bottom left-hand position. This complicates so much. I love the third base position over the mid-right-hand position. It's a lot more aggressive, but if you're able to hold it, the fourth base is so easy to take, and you can play a lot more defensive. I mean, like, everything just works out. Fourth and fifth bases will go down for Petraeus, but I don't even know if he's going to live through that as he's trying to attack yet again, and these attacks just fall so short. But the Widow Mines are not burrowed, so maybe the Banelings can do something here, but there it is. Big connection that shuts down Petraeus' attack.
Oh, Apocalypse did lose a lot there. I gotta say, his supply dipped pretty significantly, and Petraeus does now have this fourth base established, but it just got scanned out. The fifth base location that used to be the fourth is now solidly locked down. I feel if Apocalypse can swing around and essentially destroy that fourth base without taking too much damage, then he's fine. But these mutas are still active on the map, and they're still hitting mineral lines. They found themselves an exposed mineral line. A little bit more damage done. Not crippling, though. So Petraeus still fights, and he fights for his life. But with 3-3 and +2 vehicle plating coming in, I feel he's on borrowed time.
He is. I mean, as soon as those hit, the game is pretty much over. Like, any engagement that happens directly after that is going to be very, very in favor of our Terran player.
Should be, yeah.
Oh, gosh. Widow Mine hits are just crushing these mutas. Really unfortunate. Down to 18. That's not the count that he wants. And now Apocalypse is moving over, motioning to take that fourth base out. Widow Mines are not over here, though.
No, I mean, I would love to see some borrowed Baneling play here from Petraeus, but I don't believe he ever researched burrows, so that's not going to happen. There is a possible flank, though. Yeah? Whenever you're attacking this fourth base from this angle, you've got to watch out for that high ground around the watchtower, because Baneling suddenly come barreling down there with an attack from the front around the fourth base as well, and your force can get crushed. So Apocalypse is going to have to be wary, and I don't like his Widowmine positioning right now. They're positioned in a place which doesn't actually help him. And down he comes. Will he be able to make this work? That was a good Widowmine connection, though. And Petraeus is only just going to clean up the left flank, but not the right. There's the GG.
Apocalypse taking the fight off creep.